I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you. You're only going to be cared about based on how useful you are. You have the chance to build yourself up and become a superhero if you're prepared to do the hard work and be indefatigable enough to never quit. But if you're going to stand around and wait for a handout, nobody's going to ever respect you. And I think that a lot of people have forgotten about how difficult and how competitive it is as a man. We're always in constant competition with each other. And it's your duty as a man to stand up and say, I want to be as important and strong and good-hearted and God-fearing as possible. And I need to work hard to achieve those things.
Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. The thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place.
You need to see bad things as a blessing because they're the building blocks to make you the man you want to be. When people say to me, this bad thing happened to me, I say, good. This girl left me, good. I lost all my money. Good. This is your chance to take all of that negative emotion, all of those building blocks, and turn yourself into a man that prevents these bad things happening to them ever again.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read, and it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc., and the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress was really bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's fucked. Good. Yes. Like, that's just how I am, right? But it's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel and the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems and he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars, because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. Yeah. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they've been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those, probably maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for a life of difficulty that allows me to become a better and better person. I pray to become more competent to handle problems. This is who I pray to become. I don't pray that nobody hurts me. I pray to be able to fight. So it's just a different mentality. I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So people are they're basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And there are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside. But like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. Andrew, this happened. Good. Good. Now I'm really pissed. Good. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, not Tate. Even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset. They know my determination. They know I'm stubborn. They know I don't quit. They know I'm going to win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, but what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even, how I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like, I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. Yeah. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects, I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day when I'm particularly happy. And I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. Yeah. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. They're the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual.
Struggle is extremely important for a man. You should be looking to inject struggle into your life permanently. If you're injecting struggle and that struggle, solving those problems lead to a positive place, once you become addicted to it, you're going to become a machine of monumental achievement.
Would you play a video game if it was easy? If you could never die? I mean, cheats get boring pretty quick. You play it because it's hard. That's the whole point of it. You're supposed to struggle with it. You're supposed to suffer with it. So if I woke up and everything was just perfect, that'd be great for a few weeks. But if you just wake up and nothing ever goes wrong, I think that'd be
quite depressing in its own way. That's the beauty of life, is the up and the down, because there's no light without dark.
God is going to test you, and he's going to see if you really are the man you say you are. It's easy to say you're a tough guy, then God's going to put you in a position where you get a chance to prove you're a tough guy. I didn't miss a single day's training. I did not miss a single day's push-ups in that cell. I wasn't too depressed to train. I wasn't too sad to train, too anxious to train, too frustrated to train. I trained endlessly every single day. And it's interesting you talk about movies, because it's true. Every single hero in every single movie goes through adversity. There's never been a hero movie where all he does is win. No, to be a hero, you have to suffer. And this can be extrapolated out, not just about my life, but about all men out there. If you're suffering in some degree, even if you're a normal guy with a normal job and you're suffering at your job, or you've had your heart broken because your girl left you, or whatever, if you're suffering, that's part of your hero's journey. There is no hero's journey without suffering. If you have an easy life the whole way through, you never get to be a hero. That's the whole point of being a man, is that you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to eat pain for breakfast. You're supposed to come and grow into a better version of yourself. That's exactly what life's supposed to be about as a man. And another thing I want to say, when you mentioned that movie that popped in my head, I find it amazing that men will sit and watch movies about prisoners of war in Japan, or watch movies about men who go to war and risk their lives, or watch all these hero movies, and they have admiration for the hero, and they believe themselves to be some version of a hero, and then they're too afraid to say no to putting on a mask. If you're not going to say no to putting on a mask, don't watch hero movies anymore, because you're certainly not a hero. You are one of the villains. You're not even one of the important villains. You're not even one of the villains with a name. You're the stupid little henchmen who get beaten up. Those guys who are on screen for a flash of a second and die without consequence. Nobody even cares or mentions them again. Their family don't even get to give them a funeral. They're nobodies. You're a nobody villain. You're not even an important one. The important villains, we know their names. You're a number. You're not a name. If you're going to watch superhero movies, don't put a mask on your fucking face. And if you want to be a superhero in life, you need to understand that for 80% of the movie, you're going to suffer. For 80% of the movie, you're going to lose. Watch any superhero movie. For 80% of the movie, it is nothing but pain and frustration and difficulty. And when your life is that way, you have a chance to grow into something fantastic, and you should thank God for every difficult thing he puts in your path. Yeah, so I knew the guards were watching me, and I'm stubborn, and I believe that every time I did push-ups and they saw me doing them, I believed in my heart it annoyed them. And I am a very stubborn man, because they wanted me to be sad and broken. But every time they saw me, I was sweating and training. And every single time they'd check, they saw nothing but a lion who refused to stop doing push-ups. And they didn't want to do push-ups. They were too lazy. They're sitting around. They're the guards. They're not doing anything. And every single time they checked me for weeks and weeks and weeks, all I did was train. And I found the motivation to do it by knowing that it bothered them that I refused to quit. I'm stubborn like that. I don't even know if it's true. All I know is that I can adopt a mental model which makes me as competitive as possible, and I decided my push-ups bothered them, and they were the ones who were keeping me locked in a room, so I will do push-ups at them. I didn't do push-ups for me. I did push-ups at them endlessly. If I was awake, I was doing push-ups, or I was resting, preparing for my next set at them. It was my only weapon of defiance. A man is unfairly imprisoned in a Romanian jail cell and trained so hard he emerges stronger than ever before. That is a movie. You get to live a movie as a man if all you had was some balls. Even you, think about your movie. You're literally saving the world, predicting the future. Our movies, I'm the most Googled man alive. We are living movie scripts. Why? Because we have bravery. Most men sit there and wonder why they're depressed, because you don't get to live a movie. You're not the main character of anything. You're not even a secondary character in anyone else's movie. You're an unimportant nobody because you were afraid your entire life. You've lived like a coward your whole life. You were afraid of what might happen if you have some balls. And then you wonder why you're depressed. I'd be depressed if I was you. Of course, your life sucks. I'd rather go to jail as me than live free as you, because when you're free, you can't even do anything. You can't go where you want. You're broke. You can't have sex. Girls don't want you. You can't speak because no one listens. So what are you free to do? You're more in jail than I ever was. When I was in jail, I was getting thousands of love letters from beautiful women around the world. Every single tweet I put out was watched by millions of people. I wasn't in jail. You're more in jail than I ever was. When I was in jail, I was getting thousands of love letters from beautiful women around the world. Every single tweet I put out was watched by millions of people. I wasn't in jail. 50 to 100 million people, exactly. Most of these people who have lived with cowardice in an attempt to preserve their freedom aren't even free. And that's what they don't understand. They're enslaved worse than I ever have been or ever will be. My mind is free. I'm allowed to think what I want to think and say what I want to say. They have thoughts and they go, don't know if I should say that. They second guess themselves. They're their own worst enemy. Every single part of me is on my team. I have enemies who want me dead. Fine. But every single part of me, my mind, my hands, my legs, every single part of me is on my team. My body doesn't second guess itself. My mind doesn't turn on itself. We don't break and self-sabotage. There's no civil wars inside of Andrew Tate. All of us against you. All of us. Well, absolutely it's backfiring, because that's the worst thing you do to a teenage boy, say, don't watch this man. And the thing that they don't understand, because these people are so disconnected from reality. All of these people are genuinely disconnected. They don't understand that my message makes people feel better. I teach men to be strong. I teach men how to make money. I teach men how to be confident, how to be motivated, how to be disciplined, how to be diligent, how to be hardworking. If a man adopts these qualities and applies them to his life will get better. This isn't a matter of just consuming content on the internet. This is a matter of people's lives genuinely changing their day-to-day reality. If that happens, if somebody's day-to-day reality changes because they're a fan of me and they listen to my content, who do you think you are to come along and tell them to stop and go back to misery? It's never going to work. It's never going to work. And the reason I'm so heavily demonized is not because the things I say, it's because I am so massively influential. And when I'm teaching these young men, these young boys, to have any degree of standard for themselves, any degree of parameter for what they will accept inside of their minds, they see that as a threat to the slave programming. If a man stands up for himself and has self-respect, he doesn't want to wear a mask because he respects himself. He doesn't want to take antidepressants. He respects himself. He doesn't want to eat the bugs. He respects himself. They don't want men to have self-respect. We're not allowed to have self-respect. We have to sit there and be completely empty vessels waiting for the slave programming to be plugged in, so we'll comply. That's all they want, is compliance. And that's why me, as a man who stands up and says, listen, you should become as strong as possible. You should believe in yourself. You should be motivated. And you should also try to make as much money as possible, because money is a very important weapon in the fight against slavery. I am seen as public enemy number one for genuinely improving people's lives. That's how evil these people are. Absolutely. Strong men make women happy. I get called a misogynist all the time for telling men to have standards. Men with standards and principle and capability and competence make women happy. The number one way to improve female mental health is to make men better men. And the reason they don't want men to be strong and have any kind of control over their relationships or their households is very simple. Females are easier to sway with an emotional argument. If you have a bunch of households which are run by women and the woman is in charge, and then the woman is going to sit and watch an emotional argument, propaganda, which is all that the MSM use. They can't use logical arguments, so they use emotional ones. Put the mask on for grandma. Well, grandma's 98, and 98-year-olds unfortunately die of diseases. And telling a 6-year-old kid to put a mask on, or a 21-year-old strong man to put a mask on because 98-year-old grandma might get sick doesn't even make any logical sense. But it's an emotional argument, and women fall for emotional arguments easier than men. So how do you control a populace? It's very simple. You subdue the men, you make the women in charge, you make a matriarchy, and then you use emotional arguments via the propaganda mechanisms, because women are more likely to agree with them, and then you have the entire population under control. That's why it's done on purpose. They don't want a man to have any degree of control over anything in his life. Even his own house. You can't even be the king of your own household anymore. And it's making women miserable. It's making men miserable. It makes the entire populace miserable. And that's another thing I want people to understand. Misery is also a very key component to their slave agenda. Because when you're truly miserable, you are selfish. You don't care about anything that happens outside of yourself. People say that you and I perhaps were angry people. But I'll tell you something. We're positive people because we care. We care about what happens to our country. We care about what happens to our cities. We care about what happens to the future for our children. When you're truly miserable and truly sad, you're self-obsessed. You don't care about anything but yourself. They want us all miserable on antidepressants, eating the bugs, watching the TV shows. Because then when something happens down the street that's not supposed to happen, we don't care. Oh, yeah, well, the store down the street got robbed and my town's on fire, but I'm sad anyway. They want us all selfish, because when we're selfish, you can't band together to resist anything. It's a good question, and they are the end result of a very sophisticated propaganda machine, which has been built with the sole intention of creating miserable drones which will believe anything they are told. These people can be told the sky is green and they'll believe it. And all of the propaganda which is being pumped their way is negative. The world is going to end because the sun is hot. Don't have kids. That's bad for some reason. Don't eat meat. Only eat the bugs. sit at home. You should have a therapist. You should be on antidepressants. Like, they're just trying to pump nothing but negativity of these people, and they absorb it. And this is what I said to one of my friends. My friend said, Andrew, you've been through so much for telling the truth. Why do you do it? And I say, well, you either fight against the injustice and tell the truth and you suffer the consequences of that, or you believe the bullshit and suffer the consequences of being at war with your own mind and your own biology and end up miserable anyway. There is a war that cannot be escaped, and I would rather live true to God and tell the truth and fight the war this way. But it's truly incredible that these leftists do what they do. And I also think there's something that global about the world that most people don't understand. The people who are in charge of the planet, who are in charge of global finance and make all the important decisions, and who are in charge of money, they are called globalists for a reason. They have no particular interest in any one country. All they care about is control and maximizing profits. And I don't think many people understand that. For a long time, we've been exploiting the second and third worlds because someone has to lose for another person to win. There's no light without dark. We've been exploiting the second and third worlds for a long time to be prosperous in the West, and that's now changing for a variety of reasons, which will be a very long conversation. But the globalists have no problem exploiting the first world and simply turning it on its head, destroying the societies of America, destroying the societies of Europe, doing whatever they need to do to make endless and forever profit, and they'll simply move to a penthouse in another part of the world. They have no problem to move to Africa, or they have no problem moving to the Middle East. They have no problem to live in Asia. As long as they get forever profits and billions of dollars, they'll let Europe burn. And all of these leftist policies are designed to create a slave class of people which have no interest in trying to preserve the sanctity of the nations they live within. Oh, absolutely, pod people. And pod people can't have any remnants of warrior spirit inside of them because they're not going to be able to live in their pod. So this is the point. The world's over in 2030. Why go to the gym? Why get strong? Why work hard? Why get rich? Why be funny? Why be charismatic? Why do anything? It doesn't matter. The world's going to end. Sit in your pod. Wait for the food delivery. That's what they want from all of us. They want all of us to have absolutely no ambition and to sit there and be slave-minded. And it's very difficult to resist enslavement if you need the government to eat. I think all governments on the planet are constantly trying to encroach on the freedom of their populace, trying to get closer and closer to some version of communism where you have to absolutely and utterly comply or you literally do not have food to eat. And that's what they want. And it's an obvious agenda. It's a very obvious agenda, and it plays into the worst characteristics of the human psyche. Because there are a lot of people out there who, when given the excuse to be lazy, will be lazy. When given the excuse for why they're not successful, will take that excuse and use it as a shield for their own glaring, obvious failings. And we're now building two camps. We have the camps of losers and winners, and the winners are telling the truth, and the losers are just adopting all of the slave mind programming. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more dangerous now to even say the truth because these losers band together like hyenas and attack anybody who stands up and tells the truth, like they've attacked you and like they've attacked me. The people who are trying to put me in jail are not good people. They're not good people. They're not honest, hardworking, God-fearing people. They're evil people, and they know exactly what they're trying to do. It's scary. Absolutely, they don't have God on their side. The moral arc of the universe bends towards truth. It takes unlimited energy to continue to propagate a lie. It's very difficult to do. It goes against the law of physics. If you put a lie into the universe, you need to continually push that lie to keep it afloat. It's like a hot air balloon. You need to keep that engine running. You need to keep the flame going permanently to keep it floating. Because as long as people use their own eyes and their own senses and eventually begin to think, the lie is going to sink and it's going to disappear. And there's certainly been a shift in consciousness in the last 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years ago, it was much worse than it is today. And I feel like I said this when I was canceled in August of last year. I was doing Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and I said, they are making a mistake. When you have power, the only guarantee to power is that one day you will lose it. And the quickest way to lose power is to overuse it, to overreach, to overstretch. When you do that, everyone loses faith in you. For you to have power, you must have the faith of the populace. Once people understand that you're abusing your power and it's no longer a fair system, they're no longer interested in what you have to say or your power mechanisms, and then you can only resort to complete brutality. And I think it's going to be quite difficult for them to do now that the consciousness of people are waking up. But certainly, yeah, I feel like we are winning now. I feel like you and I have been through the trenches and suffered the absolute worst of it 5 to 6 years ago. And now most people understand. They overstepped with the COVID lies. They overstepped with the censorship. They overstepped with the election lies. They overstepped trying to say anybody who tells the truth is a sexual predator. They overstepped by protecting all the people who we know do genuinely bad things they refuse to talk about. They overstep so many times now that people have a thirst in their hearts to know what's really going on. And that's our chance to finally make it clear to people. And I pray we can finally get through to people to a level where next time they try the next big psyop, which we can talk about, which might be coming up soon, everybody rejects it. Because there's something really important, Alex. We talk always about who controls the world. But ultimately, without our compliance, they can't control anything. We control the world. A mask mandate is a piece of paper. It's a piece of fucking paper. That's it. It's cowardice that makes that have power. If everyone wasn't a coward and stood up and said, no, I'm sorry, I respectfully decline, then it's over. We still control the world, but that's why they're trying their absolute best to make sissies of all of us. And it's very interesting we say this because I don't want anyone to think we're inciting violence because that's not what we're doing. Even during the last COVID lockdown, you can resist so easily in a non-violent way. If I went into a store and they said, do you have a mask? Put a mask on. Don't have one, sorry. Okay, I'll give you one. Okay, give me one. And then I wouldn't walk over to take it. No, I stand there and make them walk across the store to give it to me. Then I take it and I half hang it on my ear and I don't wear it properly. Then they come up to me and say, oh, you need to wear it properly. I say, oh, okay. Then I don't wear it properly. Then I take it off completely. Then they come up to me and go, oh, where's your mask? I say, sorry, I dropped it on the floor and it's dirty. I need another one. Then they have to go back behind the counter, get another mask, walk back to the other side of the store, give it to you. Make them work. Make them work. If they want you to wear a mask so fucking bad, make them walk a marathon. Make them work. Don't make it easy for them. If they want to stand there and try and make a slave of you, at least make them do something for it. I had people walking back and forth around stores getting me 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different masks. I never even put it on. Because I dropped it on the floor, right? We're all scared of germs now. I can't wear a mask from the floor. It might have COVID on it. Don't come too close. Social distancing. Just put the mask there. I'll collect it in a second. Make them work for it. That's civil disobedience. If everyone did that, imagine you worked in a store and every person who came in did what I just described. Are you going to really run around for 12 hours a day? You'll give up after 2 hours. But the reason it doesn't happen, the reason they get away with this is because everybody just complies. Mask on, okay. Like, I'm not describing anything violent. I'm not describing anything that will get you arrested. I'm not describing anything that will even cause an argument. I'm just talking about using your fucking brain and having some balls. And it's very important if they try and bring this back. I really pray that this will be a breaking point for their entire apparatus, because I think enough people are awake now to absolutely and utterly resist. That was a huge psyop, and I love to think, and I hope I'm right, I love to think that anybody who lived through that has learned their lesson. And like I said, the number one guarantee of power is that you'll lose it, because eventually with power you will overstep and you will overreach. And if they try another lockdown, another pandemic, I think it's the biggest overreach they could possibly try. So I hope they do it, and I hope that people do what they're supposed to do, which is say no. Yeah, so it's kind of scary because we are the tip of the spear. And when you're the leader, when you're the lead of the charge, they want you dead first, right? It's kind of like the old adage. They said if 5 guys are going to start a fight on you, hit the biggest one first. And that's why they're coming for men like us, because they know we're inspiring a resistance. And the resistance we're inspiring is nothing more than self-respect and parameters for what you'll accept from a government, and to stand up and say, I'm a sovereign individual and I'm allowed to decide what goes in my blood. Imagine thinking you're not allowed to decide what goes inside of your own blood. Imagine waking up and saying, my blood is not mine. It belongs to the government. It's absolutely insane. But what they're going to try and do next is control the money. Because when they control the money, they can control where you go and they can control whether you eat or not. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, in the last 3 to 4 years, the banking sector has become more strict than it's ever been. It's become harder and harder to not only make money, but move money and have money. 10 years ago, if you wanted to do $1 million wire, it was a headache. Nowadays, if you want to do $1 million wire internationally, let's say I want to say $1 million to, I don't know, Turkey or Qatar or Australia, anywhere, the amount of headache, paperwork, delays, it's nearly impossible to do. It's getting harder and harder because they want to control the money. If they control the money, they control absolutely not only everything else by extension. So it's CBDCs that's coming. The banking system locking people down for dissidents, as we already know is happening. And once they control the money, then they're going to come along and say, don't worry, you're allowed money if you do this. And from there, they're going to expand out. I don't think most people understand that absolutely every single thing they talk about propagating and pushing to the populace is a Trojan horse. I was arguing about climate change with someone the other day, and I said, listen, I love the environment. I would hate for nature to be destroyed. I love nature. Nobody with a sane mind dislikes nature. The problem is we can't make any laws to protect nature because every single time we do, they Trojan horse it with some garbage that has nothing to do with the actual issue and is purely agenda driven to destroy my life and make me a slave. So what can we do now? And that's what they're going to do. They're going to come along, control all the money, and they're going to say, because of the climate, you're allowed money if you don't drive your car very often. And that has nothing to do with saving the earth. It's everything to do with controlling you. And that's the problem. Now we have people in charge of us that we can't even trust to fix any issue ever because all they're interested in is injecting Trojan horses and destroying our lives. It's incredible. Has a border and by extension no longer has a legal system. That because without a border, you don't have a legal system. You don't even have a nation anymore. You want to talk about rape without consent? You absolutely and utterly nailed it. And they use this word and they use this attack on any strong man primarily as an effort to damage masculinity. They make it out to the world that if you're a man who is traditionally masculine, who stands up, who is strong, who is not apologetic for his opinions, then by extension, you must be a rapist. And they do this so that men are afraid to act this way because that, once again, pushes the idea that men should be sissies and soft so it's easier for them to have slave-minded individuals. What's actually crazy is this. Women want men who are masculine. The kind of man who is not going to rape is the kind of man who has choices and genuine access to females who love him. Why would a man who is successful in all realms of human endeavor, including his relationships with females, ever rape anybody? No, I'll tell you who's a rapist. The liberal who eats the bugs, who's fat and ugly, with no personality, who's sad on antidepressants. No woman wants him. He's the kind of guy who has to rape to have sex, not the traditionally masculine, toxically male, that the man they try and say. So it's absolutely and utterly, it's a mind attack. It's a psyop. By saying if you stand up and you have muscles and you have a nice car and you're rich and you're strong and you have opinions and you say, yeah, this is what I believe and I'm not sorry for it, that means you are a bad person and by extension a rapist. And what they're trying to do is stop men from acting that way. They want all of us afraid. Without fear, none of this works. I think it was Goebbels who said it. I don't know if your research team can find it. Goebbels said it. You lie and you lie on repeat and you make them afraid. And that's all you have to do. Nazi Germany literally said the exact same thing and look what they did to the world. And it's amazing that the tactics haven't changed. The apparatus, the MSM hasn't changed. It's the same game. It's exactly the same game it's always been. Well, that's the thing, because they want me to cower or cuck. What they're trying to do is because I inspire so many people. If they can break me, they can break the souls of millions of people by extension.
Man, I went to IKEA about 3 years ago, and I genuinely think it was one of the most depressing experiences of my life.
Yeah, that place fucking
I saw full-grown men.
It's so busy and shit, too.
And
it's a maze.
I saw full-grown men on a Sunday morning walking around.
How about the IKEA hot dogs, though?
They're all right.
They're pretty good.
But the sadness in the eyes of the full-grown man on a Sunday morning walking around, and his wife is like picking up a towel. You want this towel or this towel? And you can see he doesn't give a solitary fuck. It's his only day off. It's his only day off.
It's
He's
sad.
been working for 6 days, and she's like, "We need to go IKEA, Steve." And he's like, "Oh, can't we not go? We need towels, Steve." And he's like, "Oh, maybe I might get laid next month if I go IKEA." And he's standing there, and she's like, "Which towel, Steve?" And he's like carrying the baby. "Oh, I don't know. Which one do you like, babe?" I'm like, "Oh, this whole place is just depressing me. I can't get out. It's a maze, and everyone's fucking sexless and depressed. It's fucking horrible."
Fuck, man.
But if I send the chicks, they can fuck around all day in IKEA. Don't give a fuck. And you know what? I can trust them because they're all vying for position with me. If one of them even looked at a dude, the other three would go, "We were in IKEA, and this guy walked past, and she looked at this guy." They'll all rat. They'll all rat to me. I'm the big boss.
Really?
Oh, no, 100%. Well, they're friends, all right, but they're all fucking reporting to me. And on the sly, I'm like, "Look, you're the only one I trust. If anyone says anything, tell me." All four. Boom, boom, boom. They're all coming to me going, "Yeah, I think she loves you, but, I don't know, we were in IKEA, and she didn't talk about you the whole time." They're all just fucking ratting. So I can trust all of them because they're all fucking spying on each other. It was great. I didn't have to do no shit. If you're with one bitch, she's like, "I want to go see this movie." You're like, fucking no. And they got to, it's long. You need multiple women so they can fuck off and do women shit.
me and my brother went to the club, and we walked in there, and we saw like dudes, like two gypsy dudes or two old dudes, and they'd have like fucking 30 women on their table, right? So you go to a club in Romania, it's like 20 dudes, 100 girls, but the girls aren't accessible. You can't go there as a tourist and pick them up because they all belong to people, right? So when me and Tristan first went there by ourselves,
What happens if you do?
you're gonna get in big trouble. Fast.
You beat up?
Death?
Yeah.
Like,
it's not death. It's just like they're going to be, it wouldn't be that fast. Like they tell you,
They'll warn you first.
They tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
And if you really push it, then you're
dead.
Yeah, you get in trouble. But
Wow.
But me and Tristan went there. We understood the vibe. Did it. So when we went to the club, because we saw, well, we ain't getting shit here. We're by ourselves. We left after 20 minutes. We went to the club ourselves next week, but we had the cam business, so we went ourselves with 20 girls. So to the Romanian, like the big boys, the bosses, they were like, whoa, these are Westerners. Not many Western dudes have 20 bitches on tap to just pull out hotties and walked in there.
In Romania?
In Romania, yeah. We had all these chicks there. We had chicks everywhere, all around the world, whatever. We had different studios. But, yeah, so you're saying, did I ever take my girls on dates? Girls are fantastic for status. There's times where if you want status, you need women. Women are status. Women are the true currency of ballers. Fuck money. It's women. If I go to the Bugatti dinner, everyone there's rich. Everyone's got Bugatti. Everyone's got Rolex. Everyone's got a nice house. Everyone's got a boat. Who cares?
But who has the bitches?
But who's sitting there with two wives?
Yeah, facts.
Me. You're sitting there with a hooker who doesn't really like you. You can see it in her eyes. You're sitting with a wife who's old and ugly. You're sitting with a bitch you don't fuck. I'm sitting there with two wives who adore me and are both gorgeous. Who's the rich guy? I could be the poorest man in the room, but I'm the guy they want to talk to. So women are the true currency of international ballers. So you need to be able to pull hotties out your ass just for fucking status. So if you're saying, do I take girls out? Not to give them fun or nothing. There'd be scenarios in which, yeah, I need to bring the baddies. It was pure status thing. Yeah, I'll just roll up with fucking 10 baddies. Boom. I like to think I live very true to the base instincts of reality. And the base instinct of reality always has been, to a degree, violence. I'm not a violent person. I'm a very peaceful person. But as long as I'm not threatened with violence, it's very difficult for me to give a shit about anything else. And that's because I've been threatened with violence so many times, and I've been in so many scenarios. Outside of professional fighting, I've been in so many scenarios where I really thought I might die. As long as that's not happening, I don't really give a shit. So if I'm sitting there with a bitch and she's hot, intimidated, what? She ain't got hands. She can't slip a jab. She can't fight. Which are like, that's one of my brother. Shout out to my brother Tristan. That's one of his best sayings. When he gets caught cheating, or his girls go crazy, or they catch him do something, his number first thing, she ain't got hands. So, it's like, what are they gonna do? Blow you up on WhatsApp, and you're gonna block you? Oh, don't block me! You the fuck? They can't do nothing. So intimidated? Why? How can I be intimidated by a chick? Because she's hot. I don't understand. Like, I'm intimidated by certain scenarios where there might be a consequence or a repercussion. If I go on a date and she doesn't like me, cool. Give a fuck. I know truly violent people, and I've been in truly violent scenarios. And if someone is truly violent, they don't need to know how to fight. And I'm saying if someone who is violent wants you, you're going to die. Violence is 10 men with machetes. Violence is spray them attic. Violence is run them over with a car. Violence isn't, hey, bro. That's the olden days. Let's go outside, have a fucking. That's all gone now. If you're caught in altercations on the street, no matter how big of a tough guy you are, the best thing you can do is leave. There are too many people who are ready to fucking go to jail or die with nothing to fucking lose. I have a full security team with me everywhere I go.
How many you roll with?
I'm strapped. I have like 4 or 5 guys usually. I'm strapped everywhere I go, where possible. Like I really don't like the idea of having to hit people unless I really have to hit people, because you're talking about fighting and violence. How many people can't fight? You can get a guy who can't fight in an SUV who sees you on the sidewalk and just thinks, fuck this guy. Bro, it's a dangerous world. And even now, especially like in London, I know boys who've been pack stabbed. When 4 dudes roll up with blades and jump you, man, you're dying, man. You're dying. It only takes one fucking wound. Oh, I know Krav Maga. You don't know shit. You ain't Steven Seagal. You are dying. It doesn't matter. You know to kickbox, box. Amir Khan got robbed for his watch. Fucking ex-world champion. They fucking ran up on him, took his watch off him 2 weeks ago. What they do? They pull a fucking sword. 4 of them. London's nuts now, man. And in
London's
London,
a shithole now, or what?
Bro, shithole. Google, anyone here sitting here, Google London stabbing and click on the news tab.
I saw that every day.
Stab every day. And they stab first. They don't come up and say, give me the watch. They come up and stab you. And you're like, what the fuck? You start bleeding out. And then they take off your corpse. They don't give a fuck, bro. It is crazy in London. London, I have a full security. I do not walk the streets in London. I do not wear a watch. I have a full security team. Everything. London's getting bad. And it's not just even the nice areas. You can go to the Knightsbridge, Mayfair. They'll get your ass just the same. There's people in London who just don't give a fuck anymore.
And it's getting crazy. And the Americans say, well, this is why we need guns to defend ourselves. Well, not really, because then they'd have guns. So now what? Like, it's a mentality thing. The mentality of people is dangerous. It's a hard heart that kills. You have to be really about it. This is what most people don't understand. People who play gangster and play tough guy don't understand that you don't really want to play that game, because you're going to play a game with people who aren't playing.
Yeah.
A true hard heart is different. There are people, if they want someone dead, he's going to fucking die. They don't care. Daylight, broad daylight, his wife, his kid, they don't give a shit, and they'll do the time. These people exist. They're all over the fucking news. You really want to walk around playing gangster with people like that out there in the world? You want to learn to box and say, well, I can defend myself now? You can't defend yourself for fuck. I defend myself with large walls, a bunch of weapons, and being hard to access. That's how you defend yourself. You do not defend yourself thinking I can kickbox, let me run around the streets. And there are people who still do it, but I think the world's on a decline. I think the Western world's getting worse. I don't think it's getting any better. I think that all the problems we're seeing now are going to be 10x, 20x, 30x as people get fucking hungry across the next 10, 20 years. In Western nations, there's already a polarization because there's no longer any morality which is built into the populace. I live in a poor country. I live in Romania, which is technically poor. It's one of the poorest countries in Europe. It's very, very poor. The average wage is like $400 a month. The police drive Dacia Logans. The police drive cars that can't even go above 70 miles an hour. I've never seen a police chase. When the police stop me, I say, why don't people run? We can just outrun you. He goes, oh, well, you know, why run when you can just get tickets? It's very much people, the police force isn't heavily armed, like none of this shit, but it's safe in general, unless you piss off a big guy. The crime is very organized. There's no random crime. It's very organized crime. Organized crime keeps society functioning. Organized crime is very, very functional. I would rather live in a country with organized crime than unorganized crime. Unorganized crime like London, no, but unorganized crime like London is wrong place, wrong time, get stabbed, take your watch. Organized crime is you have to go and make an enemy. You have to piss someone off, and you usually get a warning. So unless you're a fucking jackass, you'll be fine. It's only if you want to go into industries which are competing with them, or if you want to like do something they don't like. I know that a lot of the gangsters in certain towns in Romania keep the drugs out. The towns are drugs free. People try to sell drugs, they're the ones who died. So there's no drugs on the streets because they don't like drugs because their children go to school. So you have drug-free cities. American police can't get a city drug-free, but the mafia will. They'll get a city drug-free because if they catch anyone fucking selling that shit, they're fucking disappearing. So organized crime can actually be pretty good for a society because as long as you don't piss these people off. Now, Americans are the worst on the planet for this. Americans have basically no social awareness and they're jackasses with big mouths. So an American might go to a place like Romania and get drunk and be like, hey, bro, man, I do what I want, bro. They're gonna get fucked up, right? But if you're a person with a brain and you're like, you know what, this is not my territory. Sorry, really sorry. You're never gonna have any trouble. So organized crime is a good thing. So Romania is a very, very poor country, a lot of organized crime, but in general, it's extremely safe. Girls walk alone at night, all in the middle of parks, 3 in the morning, through a park, you'll see some hot, beautiful chick just walking through the park. And I said to people like, isn't she scared? Like, what if someone were to attack her or whatever? And they say, no, she's a Romanian girl. Like, a Romanian man would not hurt a Romanian girl. There's like a unity. There's a morality. Romania is the most Christian country in the world. It's like there's a common sense of morality, right? So they would never just hurt someone random because they see themselves in them. Hey, bro, I'm brown. I'm half black, half white. My father is African American. So we talk about diversity. I'm not saying it from a racist standpoint. I'm saying the reason it's propagated by the Matrix is because it divides society, which is what they want, as we discussed earlier. Which we can go into another point, but I don't want to get the podcast taken into that. But I'm just saying that when you live in a homogenous society like Romania, where 99.9% people are Romanian, they see themselves in other people. So when the country goes broke, because it's already broke, now the country's poor, crime doesn't escalate. America's a different story. As soon as America starts running out of money and people start getting broke in America, it's a free-for-all. As soon as people start I can't eat. Look at the looting. I've never seen looting in Romania. No one's ever looted a store. None of this shit. In the riots, Romania had huge political protests because one of their presidents got caught stealing billions. Massive protests. You can Google it up like you've never seen. Bigger than BLM. Huge. Not a single store looted. Not one. Why? Because that's some family store. There's morality left.
That looting shit was fucking
Bro, there's no morality.
Crazy.
So you're saying what's going to happen? I'm saying in the Western world without morality, the only thing that keeps people in line is fear of the law. The second that's gone, when you're talking about wealth and money and stuff, the rich truly understand this. The wealthy of the world are starting to understand this. Americans are actually a very unique type of people because I am American as well. So when I say these things, I'm not hating on Americans because I'm American, right? But Americans are unique because like when Americans make a bunch of money, it doesn't really cross their mind to leave America. The PSYOP, the most free country. We're the freest. Free to do what, G? What are you more free to do? Like, how about this? I'll go drive 200 miles an hour in my Lambo in Romania, and you drive 200 miles per hour in your Lambo in America, and let's see who gets some more trouble. What are you free? You can't drive fast.
Well, probably freer than China or something.
Freer than China? Who's not freer than China?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, but I'm saying that there's most places. You can go to Portugal and do whatever the fuck you want.
You said it yourself.
Like, but I'm saying the PSYOP is so large on the American populace that a lot of the money still stays inside of America. But in other countries, people are more open and agile. But I think as the internet comes, as people start to realize, wait, I'm an American. I'm earning X amount of money. I want to move to Miami and or I can move to Croatia.
I think there's a lot of good people in America, though, too. But there's a lot of idiots, too.
Completely. I'm not hating on Americans. I'm saying that when the wealth of America starts realizing that their money will get them further, they will be safer and they'll have a better quality of life outside of the USA. That's the problem for the USA. I'm not hating on the people.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the American mindset is still America, America, America. Everywhere else is dangerous and poor.
Yeah.
But Americans haven't traveled much per percent of the population. But once they realize there's other options, a lot of Americans will be like, wait, instead of 10 grand a month in Miami, I can spend $1,000 a month in Croatia. Hotter women, zero crime. To whoever is powerful enough to construct a total reset will construct it in a way that we have even less freedom than we've ever had.
True.
That's what the reset's for. Yeah. They're trying to destroy it all for the reset, so they can come along and say the only way we can keep you safe, the only way you are safe is if you obey. Let me give you guys some examples. Some very simple examples.
No, yeah, 100%.
Let me give you some examples, right? Because once the only thing that's preventing a huge reset right now is the human element. The human element is the one thing that they're combating against. So we were talking earlier about...
What do you mean by the human element?
Right. We're talking about kids going to school and the mother involved and the human idea is the human element. So let's give an example. The last 3 years, there was a pandemic, blah, blah, blah. They made all these crazy rules. The rules only exist if the police enforce them. During the pandemic, I traveled the entire world. I never stayed still for a second. I managed to get in and out of every country I wanted to. I did whatever the fuck I wanted. So Sweden never locked down. They don't want to talk about that. They don't talk about the fact that in Stockholm, in nightclubs, it was full of chicks and it was completely fucking normal without masks.
The whole time?
The entire fucking time. So I'm in Stockholm for 3 months, right? So you can go to Stockholm, go from country to country, whatever. The country where the police forces are more professional, more inside of the matrix, had stricter COVID rules than the countries where the police are more corrupt and more lazy because you can't enforce it. So if I was in Serbia and didn't wear a mask and the police over there comes in a mask, I said, bro, this is stupid, I'm not wearing a mask. Okay. He doesn't get paid enough. He doesn't care. American cop, you better put it on, bro. Put on the mask. Like, so the police force, the more matrix minded they are, the more strict the society is going to be. And I'm saying the human element because there are certain laws that they'd love to make, but they can't make because they're too far for the police, even in completely controlled countries, Western countries, to enforce. If they were to say to the American police, kill everyone with the long hair, the police wouldn't do it, right? But the human element is being removed. This is what I'm trying to say. All this shit with electric cars and AI and all this stuff, wait until the police are robots. Wait till they bring on the new COVID shit and there's no human element in the enforcement. Wait till it's fucking pure robotic. When they program the robots, if he ain't got a mask on, take him out.
I think there's going to be a new...
They won't give a fuck. There's not going to be, that's a grandma without a mask. It's not going to be, oh, that's my brother without a mask. It's not going to be, you know what, this pandemic's gone on too long. This guy doesn't have a mask on. It's not going to be, he's asthmatic. There are certain things you could, even as stupid as the police were during this thing, because the police proved themselves to be fucking retards. As stupid as they were, you could still reason with them. Maybe not in America, but in many places in the world, you could say, gee, I'm not wearing a fucking mask. It's a wedding. I want to take a wedding photo. And they'd be like, okay. Like, in many places in the world, COVID wasn't really that real because the police didn't really enforce it because they knew it was stupid. Once it goes robotic, then that's the great reset. And here, do you know how they're going to do it? They're going to do it under the guise of safety. They're going to come along and say, all these accidental shootings by human cops, accidentally killing people, we can't trust police officers as people because we're all flawed. A machine never makes a mistake. You're going to be safe with the machine cops. Don't worry. The machine cops come along. And when the machine cops have replaced us all, then the enslavement
But we're
begins.
a long ways away from that.
We're okay. Then let's take electric cars. Electric cars is the same deal. Electric cars is the same thing. They want us all to have electric cars because they can turn your car off. That's all the reason they want you to have one. They can turn it off. They can't turn off your combustion engine, but they can turn off your fucking electric car. So they're forcing us all to have them.
What about for the environment, though?
Here we go. Now let's talk about that. Talk about that bullshit. They want electric cars so they can stop you moving. So that's the whole point of it. You think they give a solitary fuck about the environment? You said environment. The amount of lithium they're digging up to make these batteries is doing more damage to the environment than a fucking petrol engine could ever do. The way they're going to make us, because if Elon was a good guy making a good product, fine. But why are they going to force us to have electric cars? Because it's coming. Already in Europe, you can't sell diesel cars after 2026.
Really?
Yeah, already they're stopping. Look it up.
Fuck?
You can only buy electric cars within 10 years.
No, they don't care.
Not yet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but then every manufacturer is just gonna start to make electric cars.
Correct. So so not about Elon, because all the manufacturers make electric cars, right? America, the reason America is delayed in this, because America, a lot of the lobbying to the government is done by oil companies. That's also why America doesn't have rail. Have you ever wondered why America, as big as it is, doesn't have bullet trains?
Doesn't have what?
Like bullet trains, like China or Japan. They have bullet trains. They have 300 mile per hour trains that are never late for even a single second. America would be perfect for that, but they don't have it because big oil comes along, lobbies the government, makes sure all the rail projects are shut down, so you have to drive your ass on the freeway, on these huge freeways, which is good for the oil companies, for the gasoline. So that's a side note. So that's why it's delayed in America, because the big oil's involved. But if you look at Europe, most European countries are already starting to say you have to have an electric car. You can still drive your petrol car, but you have to buy an electric car or a hybrid by 2026. Lamborghini's just gone hybrid. Aston Martin's new car is a hybrid. Even the supercar companies are going hybrid because they know they're going to have to, right? And they're doing this under the guise of climate change. What did I say earlier about the Trojan horse? We care about the planet, climate change. The Trojan horse inside of that is we're going to control you. We're going to stop you eating as much meat. We're going to stop you flying around on planes. You're going to have an electric car that we can control and we know exactly where it goes and we can turn it off. We're going to stop you doing X, Y, Z for the environment. But the people who are in charge of the world who purport this shit, are they flying on economy planes or are they flying on jets?
Jets.
They're flying on jets. When they get rich and they're so scared about sea levels, they buy a nice big mansion on the water. You ever notice that? I thought the sea was coming, but you want a fucking mansion on the beach. It's kind of fuck anything ever once. It's completely different for men and women, and it's also different because a lot of people misunderstand what I say. It's different for men of a certain status, right? If you're a man who has his shit together at a certain level of status, you can say to a woman, look, I love you with all my heart. I want to be with you. I'm going to take care of you, but you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm in charge because this is my life. You're on the Tate train, and we're headed to Success Station. I'm the one driving it. And if you're going to be on my train, certain things are going to happen. If you're unhappy, you can get off. Well, if you're hard to replace, then you're going to accept more things than you would accept from someone who's easy to replace, right? This is basic human psychology. We can take it away from dating and apply it to basically anything. You will accept your Lamborghini breaking down because it's hard to replace it. You will not accept your Toyota breaking down because you can just go get a Nissan. So it's the same kind of game, right? If you look at a guy and go, he is amazing at everything. I truly feel, I feel happy with this man. I can't find another man on his level who could possibly replace him or fill the hole in my life he would leave. Sometimes he fucks that bitch. Oh, fine. You're more likely to accept it. That's human nature, right? It's not even about intersexual dynamics and all the things I talk about, even though I could use those examples to apply all of my beautiful, completely correct, logical, affirmations. The reason I don't do that is because everyone comes back and goes, misogynist. So fine, cool. Stop them all crying. Let's talk about human nature. People are not going to be quick to replace something or attempt to replace something which is basically irreplaceable. So if you're a high enough status individual, then you get away with more. That's basic human psychology, isn't it, as a whole? And I think that I'm with guys here. I don't have to be polite. I don't have to say I think. I could say I know. Women as a whole are quite understanding of their status. Women are very, very intelligent. I know people say I'm misogynistic and people say I say bad things about women. Women are very, very intelligent in certain key areas, and one of the things they are most intelligent at or best at is reading their own status and understanding what they can and can't get away with. Women are experts at that.
100%.
You get the same chick who will act X way with one guy and get with a new guy and act completely differently. Because
do you think that's subconsciously though?
I think it's subconscious, but I also think they spend a lot of time on Instagram, a lot of time looking at their competition, a lot of time looking in the mirror, a lot of time trying to look good, a lot of time they spend a lot of time on themselves and within themselves, and they're pretty good at understanding their value and what they can get away with when it's compared against the value that's sitting opposite them, right? So they'll sit opposite one guy and be a dickhead, and sit opposite the next guy and be a sweetheart. They're quite smart at that, right?
That's facts.
It's true. So I think that most women actually, they get with a guy who they really know has his shit together. They're not going to sit there with that guy and say, listen, you better not, because I'm like, if I talk to him that way, he's definitely going to do it.
Yeah.
So they're going to come at a different angle. It would really hurt me if you, and then once they say it would really hurt me if you, then you can apply counters to that in different ways. You can just simply ask, why would that hurt you? Well, if you're fucking all these bitches, how do I know I'm special?
So the only reason you know you're special is because I'm sexually exclusive. So if you knew you were special with something else, perhaps you did something else with me, or I did something else with you that I don't do with anybody else, and you would know you were special. So what are you worried about me fucking that bitch for? And it can't be that logical, because females are not that logical. You can't explain it that way. But I'm saying if you're with a woman long enough and you have frame and you have influence over her and you understand these basic paradigms and you mention them in the correct conversations at the correct way in the correct frame, over time, they'll learn to accept it. I say this and people completely have a meltdown. I don't know why people have a meltdown. It's facts. It's facts. You think any of these dudes fucking, you think any of these rappers fucking all these girls, the girls are telling them, you better be loyal. You better be loyal.
No, but why?
Fuck no. Because of his status.
Because they don't want to be left.
Because they know he'll just say no, bye. So they just don't, they're like, okay, look at me in the mirror. Can I be replaced? Yes. Can he be replaced? Not easily. Fuck, I gotta take this deal. That's the game. That's like, and that's human psychology. You can apply that to anything. You can apply it to the fight game. There's an A side, B side. Human relationships. There's an A side, B side. Business deals. There's an A side, B side. Someone's got to fucking take the B side.
So the way you're saying,
to a degree. And but this is the thing about relationships, because we can talk about relationships as a whole. Everyone says what I say is crazy. All I say is that love is real. Men and women should be in love. Bro, it's the same. But it's the same with anything.
Yeah.
Is it like buy a McLaren? It's not going to work for half the year. Well, women are also addicted to drama. This is something else you have to understand about females.
That's very true.
Females are addicted to drama. They are entertained by drama. What does a woman do in her spare time? She watches the Kardashians drama. Listen, I don't want to insult anyone. I was about to say a bitch. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. A bitch will sit there. A bitch will sit there and think, I need to relax. Let me watch a murder documentary about a serial killer who chops people's heads off so I can have a nice good night's sleep in bed. They're addicted to this shit. They love drama. So to some degree, even as a man, this is actually an important frame for men to understand. To some degree as a man, you have to instill drama in the relationship, because if you don't, she's going to get bored.
No, that's very true, man.
And she's either going to leave or she will instill the drama, which gives her control. You don't want her to bring the drama.
So you think girls like to fight?
They like drama. They like to be entertained.
Yeah.
So if she instills the drama, it's probably going to involve some other fucking dude. You don't want that shit, right? So you have to instill drama. So this is the question I always say to all the people who say I'm misogynistic and my view on relationships are wrong, etc., etc. I say, look, I have beautiful women who are in love with me, and we're all happy and smiling every day. I get to fuck whatever I want. I have a very positive relationship with females. My life's good. You disagree with everything I say. But your relationship, you and your woman don't even fuck. So, like, if you take the other paradigm, 99% of men disagree with me, but they marry one chick, they be the good guy, get married, sit with her, just her, I'm loyal, blah, blah. They're all getting fucking divorced, and the chick's giving them a hard time. Yep. You never see that dude who did the right thing and then go, I can do whatever the fuck I want because I do the right thing. So, you know what? Leave her at home. I'm hitting the club. I can do what I want because I don't cheat. Never. It's like, oh, she's going to get mad. Da, da. And he's the good guy. I'm the bad guy, and I get to say, see you next week. It's about understanding and instilling a mental frame inside of the female that makes her understand that it's really not that big a deal. That, coupled with your status and the fact that you're hard to replace, will make you be able to get away with it. And when I say get away with, I don't even mean get away with. It can be a very honest and open thing. I'm telling you, man, like, most men would be surprised by how deviant women are. If you have a woman and you're truly cool, and you're truly together and she truly loves you, you come home, have you been out, you fucked that bitch? I did fuck that bitch. You know what? I fucked her, but her tits are not as good as yours. Come here.
but does that work?
She'll love it. She doesn't give a shit.
What if she had a better rack, though?
Well, then she's in trouble, right? But I'm saying, if the framing is right, but it's about the mental framing. I say these things and men think I'm full of shit, but you have to understand the mental framing. I'll give you an example. If a woman gets with a man and his frame is correct, that woman, over a long enough period of time, has the same political views, likes the same music, likes the same movies, has the same friends as him, watches the same things on YouTube, the same Netflix shows. If you see a woman who loves that man, doesn't she do everything the man does? So if that man truly believes and can explain to her in a sensible way, look, I love you, I take care of you, I pay your fucking rent, you're living with me, that bitch, fuck that bitch, who cares? I fucked her, so what? Who gives a shit? She ain't here, she ain't living in the fucking penthouse, shut up. Eventually she's gonna be like, okay, well, as long as those girls don't live with you, they absorb their man's frame. That's the frame. Okay, so this argument is one I've heard so many trillion times. They say, well, if you can do that, why can't the woman do that? And I can answer it in so many different ways. My harshest way is that it goes against the will of God and nature. It goes against the way of man. For the longest period of human history, men had more than one woman. Every king, every sultan, read the Bible, read the Quran. In most of the world today, men still have more than one woman. Never in history, in any book ever, in any civilization since the dawn of human time, have promiscuous women been celebrated, ever. They have been frowned upon in every single society ever. The main reason is because of paternity. Because what happens is, if I have 5 girlfriends and they all get pregnant, we know who the 5 mothers
the guys are in town?
Thank you. And we know who the 5 fathers are.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, the father for the 5 kids. So you know who the kids belong to.
Yeah.
If you have a woman who's sleeping with 5 dudes, when she gets pregnant, nobody knows who the fucking kid belongs to. Now, the DNA test might be able to fix that, modern science, right? But there's a whole bunch of modern science that's to work with the devil. That shit's new. Humans evolutionarily grew up until the 1950s, 1960s, where none of that shit was doable. You had to know who the mother and the father was. You had to have a virgin. That's why they celebrate virginity in most of these places on the planet. They can't afford DNA tests. If she ain't a virgin, I don't know as a fact I'm the father. So I ain't gonna fucking deal with her shit. That's why virginity is so important in most of the world to this day. So to come along and say a woman can do it too is disgusting in the eyes of God and in the eyes of nature. You can come along with science and somehow then try and fix it and prove it. So God wants the men, the masculine males of earth, to reproduce, create his warriors. Because you have to extrapolate it. You have to extrapolate it and look at it the meta point. If women can't just sleep with anybody and everybody because they're going to be known for it and shamed for it, they're going to be very, very selective with who they sleep with. If they're very, very selective, then men are going to have to be very, very, very hardworking and very, very dedicated to becoming a man worth sleeping with. So now men are going to be more honorable. Men are going to try harder. Men are going to be more interested in making sure that they're a person who's upstanding in society. Women are going to be very selective who they choose. They're more likely to stick with a guy through thick and thin because they don't want to add a new number to their head. Families will return. Families are an extension of society as a whole, right? It's family, then it's town, then it's city. Men are interested in innocence. It's innocence that men find appealing. This is what most people don't understand.
Yeah.
Women don't even know what men find attractive. What actually amazes me is that women go through the world and they're so concerned with how they look, but they have no understanding on a basic level of what men find attractive in women. And I know that for a fact because every single time I sit with a chick and talk to her, especially for the first time or on a date or something, she's saying always completely the wrong thing. She's saying exactly which makes me less attracted to her. The women will sit there and do something they think is innocent. They'll talk about traveling. I've been to here and I've been to there and I loved when I saw this. My favorite place is this. When you sit with a dude on a first date and tell him how many places you've been, all he's thinking is you've been fucked.
Yeah.
You've been fucked by who paid for that?
Yeah, who paid for that?
Yeah. Oh, nice hotel, bitch. Like it's bullshit. Like shut the fuck up. And on top of it, men want innocence, and the reason we find innocence attractive is because we want to be the female's portal to the world. I see there was some bitch. She's like, I've been there, I've been that. I went to this party. My friend has a jet. I was in this Lambo. Da 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 da. And you're just like, shut the fuck up. There's nothing less attractive because we want to be their portal to the world. The reason women don't understand this is they sometimes think, especially if they're sitting with a G, like if they're sitting with a guy like me, they feel like they have to prove themselves by pretending they've been with other ballers, right? They don't want to sit there with a man like me and go, oh, I've never been to a restaurant like this. I wish they would say that. That's the most fucking attractive thing they could say to me. But instead they'll say, yeah, I've been here, and my friend, and I did this. And
they drop Dubai and then it's over.
They start dropping about fucking other shit that they did with their.
If they say Dubai, you got to get the check right away.
Yeah, it's just like, shut up. But they don't. So women don't even know what men find attractive because we're interested in innocence. So he's talking about body counts. It's not even just about the freaky da-da. I'm interested, if I have an experience with a woman, whether it's sexual or non-sexual, I want to be her portal to the world. I want to be the person who shows her something for the first time. I don't want to fuck a bitch who's been fucked every way she can be fucked. Another thing women do, you know what another thing men hate? This is for all the chicks watching this. You know another thing men hate? We hate those social bitches. You know what I'm saying? You meet a girl for the first time, right? First time.
Go on.
Here's a test when you meet a bitch for the first time. Say, what are you doing next week? Correct answer. Oh, nothing, just home. Attractive. That's what I want to hear. You ain't been nowhere. You don't go nowhere. Just home. What are you doing next week? Oh, well, my friend has our exhibition, and then my girl knows this guy who's doing this thing, and we're going to this party because it's a launch for this new clothing line, and then on Wednesday, it's my friend's birthday. Her name's Chloe. She's so funny, and we're going to go here, and then this. That. She starts giving you this busy schedule. Ho. Slut. Shut up.
Unattractive, don't want to hear it. You're a hoe. You've been too many places. You're not home enough. You're not reading the Bible. Uninterested. Busy bitches, social bitches, unattractive. Now, about that men don't want that. I'm talking about pure just attraction. She could be an innocent angel doing all these things. The fact that still she's going to sit there with me and start talking about all these places she goes, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear innocence, purity, sit at home, don't do shit. Okay, so it's date one, right? It's date one. So for the last X amount of months, she's been running all over XYZ, meeting XYZ, and then you have to look at her and have enough faith that nobody's ever managed to put their dick in her ever. And the truth is, it really ain't that hard. So it's like, social bitches are worse. I walked in a restaurant with a girl, and she was like, oh, and then we were waiting in this little line. There's like 2 people in front of us, like literally 1 couple in front of us. The line would have been maybe 6 seconds. So it wasn't even worth kicking off. Oh, I know the manager. What did it? And I looked at her and go, how do you know the manager? Oh, I just know him through that. I was like, I just wanted to leave. Like, now I'm just like, now you know the manager of the best restaurant in the city. You're a fucking, now I got to sit there. You're a hoe now. How many times have you been here? With who? Who have you fucking been here with? It's off-putting. It's disgusting. I'm telling this for all the chicks who watch the podcast. Let's say you're going on a date with a guy and you really want to get him. You ain't been nowhere. You ain't done shit. You're an undiscovered diamond. I don't know. I've never been to a place like that. Oh, how do I open the car door? I don't know how Lambo car doors work. Oh, I've never done this. I've never been there. I've never been on holiday. That's what a man wants to hear. He does not want to hear the story. Oh, yeah, I went there once, and me and my friends, all 4 of us went there because it was our party, and shut the fuck up. It's unattractive.
Oh, wait, how do you...
And women don't know this. Women don't know this because they'll say all this shit, and the man will still bang them, so they think they did good on the date. Oh, he banged me. Well, no, he was going to bang you anyway, no matter what you said. But if you want him to love you, you need to learn to shut the fuck up. This is true, because men are fine innocence attractive except for him.
Do you think...
You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right fucking now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. I'll say this right here on the fucking internet. I don't give a shit. People will sit there and go, oh, you can't say that. Yes, I can. A 19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been more places, been fucked and dumped more times, more arguments, more heartbreak, more bullshit, more mess for me to clean up. Whereas a 19-year-old might have had one guy from high school, just broke up, she's fresh, and I can fucking put my imprint on her and make her a good person, and without her having to go through all that detriment to learn about life. I don't know, hot girls are hot girls. But my point is that older women, the reason they're less attractive to men, even if men don't instinctually understand it, is because they've been through a whole bunch more shit. And we're not interested in dealing with someone else's problems. If you get with a girl who's 26, 27, she's gonna be sitting there going, I know men like you. I've seen what men like you do. You ain't going out today.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I ain't dealing. So you're telling me, wait, you're telling me you were innocent and sweet for this dude. You were nice to him, he fucked you and messed you up, and now I deal with the attitude problem you've developed because he got your pussy? I didn't even want him to fuck you in the first place. You should have been a virgin when you met me. Now I'm dealing with your shit? Get fucked. Goodbye. It doesn't mean it's not what we desire. We're talking about what we desire. And what I'm saying is that one of the best things about status is that you can now get what you desire. So at status, most men have this dream of sleeping with endless women. I could, if I decided, could sleep with a new woman every single day for the next 10 years. All I would have to do is reply to my Instagram inbox. It would not be difficult. I could do it. It's not interesting to me. I am more interested in using my status to find something extremely rare, like a woman of innocence. That's what I'm talking about here. I'd rather find 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 women of innocence and keep them, as opposed to just sleeping with endless women, because sex really ain't all that interesting to me. I think it gets boring after a while. So that's the point we're making. Yeah, it's hard to find, but just because it's hard to find doesn't mean it's not what every man intrinsically really wants. It's what men really, truly want. And what's actually interesting about it all is, no matter how innocent the female, she still wants the man to have had experience. If you were to ask a virgin woman, do you want a virgin boyfriend? She'd say no. Or if she slept with one man and she had lived a good life, do you want a man who lived a good life and been with one woman? No, maybe he should have slept with a few more. They want you to have been XYZ, right? So you could have been a playboy and slept with 1,000 girls and get with a virgin. She wants you to be that way, and you want her to be that way. It's fine. That's how it's supposed to work. The reason it's all fucked up now is you got women out here who slept with 100 dudes, sleeping with a guy who fucked like 15 chicks, and he wonders why he can't keep her under control. Well, of course fucking not. How are you gonna pull that off?
It's hard for guys.
It's hard for dudes, man, because these chicks are just running through dick. It's hard, and if they run through enough dick, they're eventually going to end up on some a real G's dick. We talk about. I get called a lot on the internet one of these red pill guys, and it annoys me because I'm not.
What's that mean?
Oh, this whole red pill manosphere.
What does red pill mean?
Oh, something about girls and dating and all this shit. I'm not one of them, but some of the things they say is true, and the point I'm trying to make is that if you get with a woman who slept with enough dudes,
eventually some of those dudes are gonna leave an imprint on her you can't fill. I'd be honest with you, I feel sorry for any man who's with any of my exes. You're gonna come along, you ain't me, I could whoop your ass, she knows I could whoop your ass, you can't give her what I give her, you can't do what I can do, and now you're sitting there going, oh, I still love you, and the deepest, darkest night, she's laying there next to you going, you ain't Andrew. You just tried your very best.
That's a good feeling.
You just tried your very best, and that didn't feel like it when Tate did it. And that's it. So like it's like they're widowed in their mind, and you can't truly attach to them because part of them still belongs to someone else. This is what happens at True Status. If I run through 10 chicks, I get to know I've ruined 10 wives, guaranteed 10 divorces, guaranteed, because whoever she marries, she will not be happy with because she will dream of me for the rest of her fucking human existence, guaranteed. That's how it gets. You get to that point at a certain state.